Hey Guardians, welcome to the video. So in this video, I got a really strong Glaive Hunter build for you guys. With this build, your Glaive is going to create some devastating explosions when you get projectile kills, and it will also blind everything. For your subclass, your super doesn't matter. It's really up to you. You can go Arc Staff or Gathering Storm, it doesn't matter. For your dodge, you're going to need Gambler's Dodge. This will refund your entire melee when you use it in your combatants, and you're going to want to use it with Disorienting Blow. This arc melee will blind targets that you hit with it, and it will also make you amplified. For your grenade, you're going to want Flashbang Grenade. This is an explosive grenade with a delayed detonation, and when it detonates, it will damage those targets and blind them. For two aspects, first one you're going to need is Lethal Current. This aspect is going to enhance your melee attack after dodging, so when you dodge, your next melee will have increased range, it will jolt that target and create a damaging aftershock. Additionally, when you damage jolted targets with melee attacks, they will also become blinded. And for the second aspect, you're going to need Flow State. This fragment will make you amplified when you defeat jolted targets. And while you are amplified, your dodge will recharge quicker, you will be more resilient when you dodge, and your reload speed will be greatly increased. Now for the fragments, first one you're going to want is Spark of Beacons. This fragment is very strong. This is basically like blinding grenades, but for your arc special weapons. So while you're amplified, your arc special weapon final blows will create blinding explosions, which is very strong. This is one of the strongest arc fragments in the game right now. And you're going to want to pair this with Spark of Vaults. Spark of Vaults will make you amplified when you perform finishers. These two work hand in hand together. For your third fragment, you're going to want Spark of Discharge. This fragment will give you a chance to create Ionic Traces when you get arc weapon final blows. And Ionic Traces will also make you amplified when you pick them up too as well. So keep that in mind. And lastly, for your final fragment, you're going to want Spark of Resistance. This fragment will give you significant damage reduction when you're surrounded by enemies. So for the weapons, your kinetic weapon and your heavy weapon are irrelevant. You can use whatever in those two slots. It really doesn't matter. However, for your energy weapon, you're going to need the exotic Glaive, the Edge of Concurrence. This exotic's perk is Edge of Concurrence. Hybrid melee / ranged polearm with a frontal shield. Generates energy on dealing range damage. Now the first part isn't really exotic, that's like pretty standard for any glaive. However, for the secondary part, it will generate energy when you deal range damage. So as you're dealing damage with the projectile attack on the glaive, it's going to store up energy. And for the secondary trait, the main trait is Lightning Seeker. When weapon energy is full, consume it before firing to make your next shot track targets across the ground and unleash chain lightning on impact. This is pretty strong. So as you're charging up the glaive by dealing range damage, when the glaive becomes fully charged, you can then hold your reload and it will consume it. And the next shot that you shoot on the ground, it will track targets and unleash devastating lightning on impact. Let's take a close look at how this actually works in game. Looking at how this exotic glaive works in game, as you're dealing damage with the ranged projectile, it's going to charge the weapon up. Now it's pretty hard to tell when the weapon's being charged, but basically once you land about 4 projectile hits, you can hold your reload, and as you will see, when I shoot the ground, it's going to create an arc wave that tracks enemies, and it will deal massive damage. Moving on to the artifact, there are 5 unique artifact mods that are worth investing in for this build. First one being Authorized Mods Arc. This will significantly reduce the armor energy cost of all armor mods affecting your arc weapons. For the second mod, it's Electric Armor. This will increase the duration of amplified effects while you're on arc subclass. Third one is Amped Up. This will give you damage resistance while you are amplified. For the fourth one, we have Shock and Awe. Arc final blows while you're amplified will summon a burst of lightning that damages and jolts targets. This is pretty strong. So as you get arc final blows, it can be from your arc abilities, your super, the projectile attack on your glaive, your arc heavy weapon, even your finisher. When you get a kill with those abilities while you're amplified, it's going to create a lightning bolt at that location that will damage and jolt targets. Here's what it looks like. Alright, so if you first make yourself amplified, and then you get an arc kill, you will notice that a lightning strike will spawn at that target's location and it will jolt any nearby targets. This is very good. And like I said, it works for any arc abilities, not just your glaive. You can get arc ability, final blows, whatever. It's gonna jolt those targets and damage them. This is a very, very powerful artifact mod. And last but not least, you can spec into lightning strikes twice. After throwing an arc grenade, gain increased grenade recharge for a short time. Arc final blows extend the duration of this benefit, so when you throw your flashbang grenade, it's going to give you a buff on the left side of your screen that will increase the grenade recharge rate. And when you get any arc final blows, this could be from your arc abilities, your arc super, or your arc weapons, it's going to extend the duration of this bonus. Here is how this looks in action. Now if you throw your grenade, you will see a buff on the left side of your screen called Stat Boost. That is the buff from Lightning Strikes Twice. And as you will notice, as you continue to get arc final blows, it's going to extend this buff's duration. Now if you pay attention to my grenade recharge, you can see it's being buffed. That is how this mod works. Lastly, for your armor, first start off with your helmet mods. The first mod you're going to need is Arc Siphon. This will generate orbs of power when you get rapid arc weapon final blows. Now this mod only applies for the projectile portion of the glaive, so when you get projectile final blows with your glaive, that will spawn orbs of power. Arc Siphon does not, however, work for the melee final blows on your glaive, so just be wary of that as you're getting kills with your glaive. You're also going to need Special Ammo Finder, so when you get kills, it will increase the drop chance of special ammo for your Edge of Concurrence glaive on kill. Now you can also put on Access to Assets to give you a portion of your super whenever you get flashbang grenade kills, if you have enough space on your helmet, or even Special Ammo Scout, so when any of your Special Ammo Finder perks generates ammo for you, it will also generate special ammo for your teammates. For your arms, you're going to need the exotic gauntlets, the Triton Vice. Triton Vice's exotic perk is Halberdier's Reach, increases glaive reload speed and melee damage when surrounded. Glaive melee final blows overflow around to the magazine. Glaive projectile final blows detonate if the glaive deals damage matching your subclass type. Now as you can see, there's quite a few benefits that this exotic provides for you, which is why we're going to be taking an in-depth analysis of all the aspects of this exotic. Now let's get right into it. First, we're going to test the melee damage of the glaive without Triton Vice equipped. Without Triton Vice equipped, the melee does 13,348 damage to this captain. Now I'm testing the glaive's melee damage with Triton Vice equipped. While surrounded, the glaive deals 17,353 damage. That's a 30% increase to the glaive's melee damage while surrounded. Next, for the second part of this exotic, it will greatly increase the reload speed of your glaive when you're surrounded. As you can see, the reload speed is pretty fast. Finally, for the last two benefits of the Triton Vice exotic, it will refund a round back your magazine as you're getting melee kills with your glaive. And additionally, when you get projectile final blows with your glaive that match your subclass energy type, which in this case is arc, it will create powerful explosions. And what's great about these explosions is that these explosions actually work with the Shock and Awe artifact mod. So not only will you create the explosions, but it will also summon a lightning strike at the target's location that will jolt enemies, making this really, really good for ad control. Now that you understand how Triton Vice Gauntlets works, here are the ideal mods for this exotic. So firstly, you're going to need firepower. This will create orbs of power when you get kills with your flashbang grenades. And pair this with bolstering detonation, so as you're dealing damage with your flashbang grenades, they will also reduce the cooldown of your dodge. I also have arc loader to increase the reload speed of Edge of Concurrence. For your chests, first mod I have is arc reserves to increase the amount of ammo reserves that I can carry for my Edge of Concurrence glaive. And lastly, charged up to increase the amount of armor charges that I can also carry by 1. So for your boots, first mod you're going to want is Arc Weapon Search. This will grant your Edge of Concurrence glaive a 10% weapon damage bonus while you have armor charges. And pair this with Arc Scavenger, so when you find special ammo, your Edge of Concurrence glaive will also receive bonus ammo. Lastly, on your boots, you're going to want Stacks on Stacks. This mod will grant you an extra stack of armor charge when you pick up orbs of power. So when you pick up 1 orb of power, it will grant you 2 stacks of armor charge. Now, importantly, this mod is very vital to the build because this mod will work in direct correspondence with a mod on your cloak that I'm getting ready to reveal to you guys. So for your cloak, first mod you're going to need is Special Finisher. This will generate special ammo for you and your allies whenever you perform a finisher while you have at least 3 stacks of armor charge. Now this is why I said you're going to need Stacks on Stacks, because with Stacks on Stacks, 1 orb of power will actually equivalent to 2 stacks of armor charge. So in theory, all you need to do is pick up 2 orbs of power and that will grant you 4 stacks of armor charge. And when you perform a finisher, you and your allies will receive special ammo. For the second mod, I have Powerful Attraction to magnetize any nearby orbs of power around me when I activate my dodge. For the final mod on your cloak, you're going to need Time Dilation to increase the duration of the decaying armor charges. So while you're dealing damage with your Edge of Concurrence glaive, you will have more time to take advantage of Arc Weapon Search. Alright guys, that's it for this build. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope that this build was helpful for you guys. And if it was, drop a like on this video, share it with your friends. And now I'm going to teach you guys how to actually use this build. So yeah, let's get right into it. Okay, with the build setup out of the way, now you need to learn how to actually use this build. So when you're using this build, you pretty much want to focus on getting as many projectile final blows as possible, because that is where the true power of this build comes from due to the explosions. And you can also get melee kills in between your projectile final blows too, to refill your glaive's ammo magazine. And when you have enough glaive projectile hits, you can hold your reload for the alternate fire. Now if you ever run into a situation where you really need some ammo desperately, simply pick up some orbs of power and then finish a target. You receive increased melee damage whenever you're surrounded too as well. And lastly, if you want to have some extra blinding capability, you can use your grenade and then keep chaining arc kills. So this way both your glaive and your grenade will blind targets. But that's pretty much for the build. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you guys later.